What is the strangest thing you've seen someone do on public transport? A guy kept yelling no every time the bus stopped at a bus stop. He yelled yes when the bus stopped at his stop. Tiny elderly Chinese woman was carrying a live chicken by the feet in one hand and a shopping bag in the other. Tried to get on a bus and the driver stopped her. They argue back and forth for a bit and finally she lets out an exasperated growl, breaks the neck of the chicken, stuffs it in the bag and shouts it groceries now. A woman on the London tube brought 3 live ducks in harnesses onto the carriage. They were just stood there chilling and quacking away. Dude across from me takes everything out of his backpack while kind of muttering to himself. I figure Heller's looking for something. He then proceeds to put the backpack on his head. Guess he needed to take a closer look. I saw a young woman get on, early mid-20s, obliterated on drugs. She sat far back behind me, so I didn't hear anything, and the next thing I know some musclehead is yelling for the bus driver to stop the bus, and was manhandling an old mid-50s guy off the bus. Musclehead started yelling, "Get this creep off the bus, he's back there kissing a passed out girl." Although in 10 years taking the bus this is the most I've ever witnessed happen, so the bus is genuinely a safe place to be. In Melbourne, I've seen a lot of people chroming on the train, upfield line, represent, which is where people inhale paint cans or petrol, usually from a plastic or paper bag. One day on my way to uni, I saw a guy inhaling from a paper bag. Oh, another chroming dude, awesome. I dismissively thought to myself. Suddenly he pulls a sandwich out of the bag and begins eating it, then throws the bag away. Mother ducker was just inhaling his sandwich. I was on a sleeper train going from Hamburg to Rotterdam and woke up in the middle of the night to a 60-ish-year-old German lady violently masturbating on the bunk opposite while staring into my very soul. I just pretended to go back to sleep. I wasn't asleep. She knew. Bonus, in the morning when we arrived and were leaving the train she winked at me. I live in Detroit and I saw a grown man pull a fish out of a bag and slap a girl with it. Honestly, I was scared for my life. I once saw an elderly guy pushing an old man in a wheelchair in the underground. The man in the wheelchair wore sunglasses, not a sunny day, and had staring eyes behind them. He also had his feet crossed in a way no old man would have. His hands were really pale and folded on his lap. I could not see him breathing. But the strangest thing was that the elderly man was holding the old man's head the whole time. Not gently, but really holding it with his 2 hands, as if it would fall off. I still don't know if he was dead, a puppet or really sick. But it was somehow really scary. 2 guys get on the same train carriage as me. I am sitting behind them. It is mid-morning and the train is quite full on this Western Sydney line. Nonchalantly they pull out a kit consisting of syringes and spoon and cook up right there and then. They have their hit and then proceed to each spark up a smoke and not even acknowledge the other passengers. Someone must have called the police because a couple of stops later the cops met the train and come and pulled the guys off. A guy was standing next to me with a model train, modeled after the V/line trains in Victoria, Australia, that he just bought. Proceeded to strike up a conversation with me, telling me about how he was bitten by a dog, sued the owner, and used the money he got to buy the model. He even showed me both the bite wound and took the model out of its box to show me. A strange experience, but also quite interesting. Giant homeless woman started to bathe herself on the F train. She stripped down on a moderately full car and used 2-gallon jugs of spring water and a roll of paper towels. Little rivulets of homeless lady funk streaked across the floor as everyone raised their feet, wishing the train would come to a stop quickly. I once saw a bee fly onto the DC Metro and on a seat. It hung out there for one stop and then took off again when the door opened. I even took a picture. http://gallery/6hnznpf. Edit. Wow, this comment took off. Holy moly. Thanks for the silver. I stayed in Istanbul for a month. During that time, I came to the conclusion that some women lean back to avoid harassment. My first encounter was very weird though. It was very crowded, and there were only 2 other girls there. Without saying anything, they wiggled their way to me, and both leaned their back on my back. Not gonna lie, I was quite spooked. Haven't experienced it anywhere else. Edit, to avoid further confusion, I want to add that I'm a girl. My buddy licked about 2 feet of handrail on the 4 train. An elderly lady said she had been riding the train her entire life and that was hands down the most ducked up thing she ever saw. Sniff petrol while yelling go away to no one. A young couple trying to transport a couch on Vancouver SkyTrain late at night. We were riding the DAR trail in Dallas to the State Fair of Texas. There was a methed out crazy guy on there that kept staring at my 1-year-old son and repeating, in a low creepy voice, "He will not take you, but he will take the child. He will not take you, but he will take the child." Needless to say, we were not happy. We just wanted funnel cakes, not threats of demonic kidnapping. I saw a man take his shoes off and clip his nails on the train. Left his nasty nails all over the seat and floor once he got out. I saw an elderly lady pull out a can of Lysol, spray her armpits, then lift up her skirt and spray it between her legs. No reaction or acknowledgement for what she just did. I moved to the next car. Not strange but amazing. A girl with no arms, below her elbows, sat in front of me. She was carrying her lunch in a 7/11 plastic bag. She opened her bag, took out a sandwich, that kind that you get in 7/11, opened it and started eating it. Also she took out a juice box, put the straw in it and started drinking. She enjoyed half her sandwich before she noticed that her stop was coming. She wrapped the sandwich carefully, put the juice box and the sandwich in the plastic bag, stood up and left. All without help from anybody, without making a mess, carefully and gracefully. With no hands. Using what nature gave her, and with no expression of self-pity or anything like that. She was the master of her life. Watched a guy pick up hair from a plastic bag and eat it. Police entered the train and arrested him, and it turned out to be his ex-girlfriend's hair. Edit, not arrested perhaps, but taken off the train and questioned. I reckoned it was an ex-girlfriend, because it was female hair and the man was sobbing. A woman got arrested for allegedly injecting strangers with an HIV syringe, but the whole thing was known by everyone who used public transport in my city. People made group chats just to warn each other about the HIV lady. IDK what happened to her, but hopefully she got arrested cause that week was insane and a lot of people were saying they got stung. Yeesh. / Kinda late, but it would have to be DDLG roleplay. Both were mid-30s and heavyset, dressed like middle school weebs, and the lady even had a pacifier. She kept asking her daddy repeatedly, baby voice and all, if they were at the park yet. Fatter's not even the worst part of it. She would give her pacifier to her partner and he would slob on it heavily and put it back in her mouth for her. And she would make this weird crooning noise. I am shivering already just remembering. In Sydney, these twin brothers got on my bus. They were clearly homeless and pissed out of their brains. They both looked like Bob Ross. So one stood at one end of the bus and the other one at the other side. Both screaming he ducked and ran like a rattlesnake in sync for a good 20 minutes. Public transport at its best. Edit, thanks for the silvers kind strangers. Saw a guy sitting in front of me on a double-decker bus masturbate. He wasn't even trying to hide, just straight up jerking it there and then. You've been visited by the safety dog. Go like this video and subscribe. You've been visited by the safety dog. Go like this video and subscribe. You've been visited by the safety dog. Go like this video and subscribe. You've been visited by the safety dog. Go like this video and subscribe. You've been visited by the safety dog. Go like this video and subscribe.